Hello, Hastings, and the rest of you joining us for this candidates forum. I'm Tom Wright, the moderator, having the honor and privilege of doing so here tonight. And now we are going to hear from our candidates running for the district to represent District 54 in the House of Representatives up in St. Paul for the Minnesota State House of Representatives. So please join me in welcoming our two candidates, Mr. Tony Jurgens and Mr. Don Slaten.
Thank you.
I will note that neither candidate is the incumbent. The incumbent has decided to not seek re-election, so this race is wide open. Before we get started, gentlemen, I just want to go over the rules of play here for those maybe just tuning in, and a quick reminder for yourselves. This is a forum, not a debate. The candidates will each have 1 minute to answer the question. They will own that minute and can use it as they wish. There will be no interruptions. If the other candidate has to respond to something said, they must wait to do so during their next answer. The candidates were provided the questions 1 week in advance. And the exception, of course, is the one question they will get to ask each other. The audience will not be able to ask questions, but of course are welcome to do so afterwards. All right, so with that said, we're going to start with you, Mr. Tony Jurgens, on the left here with your opening statement. Please introduce yourself and provide any information you wish regarding your background and experience.
Thank you. First, I want to offer my condolences to Mr. Slaten on the loss of his father. There's never a good time to lose a loved one, and I know with the pressures of the final weeks of the campaign, it comes at an especially difficult time, and I respect you for being here tonight. Next, I'd like to thank the Hastings Chamber of Commerce and the Hastings Community TV for hosting this event, as well as those of you in the audience here tonight or watching on TV or online. I've lived in this district for almost 24 years. I've worked hard to make Cottage Grove and Hastings stronger by volunteering for several boards and commissions, often in a leadership role. My wife Dawn and I have 2 daughters who attended kindergarten through 8th grade at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton here in Hastings, and then went on to graduate from Hastings High School. My daughter Tori is in the audience with us tonight. I've been active in St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church and in the Hastings Knights of Columbus. As an independent insurance agent, I have many customers who live here in Hastings. I've got a Bachelor of Science degree from Southwest Minnesota State University. I want to be your state representative so I can represent you, represent your families, and represent your businesses in the legislature. Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll go to you, Mr. Slaten. For your opening statement, please introduce yourself and provide any information you wish regarding your background and experience.
Thank you, Tom. Good evening. My name is Don Slaten. I thank all of you for coming out tonight and those watching at home. I am a Navy veteran with service on a nuclear fast attack submarine off the coast of Vietnam. I'm a father, a grandfather, and spent years coaching various youth teams. I have lived in the district for 40 years, and during that time have volunteered for numerous community groups. I've spent my life in service to my country and my community. As your representative, I would be honored to continue that commitment for working families, strengthening our schools, protecting our waters, and implementing funding to fix our roads and bridges. I want an economy that works for all Minnesotans. Those of us who work hard to make a living should be able to make a good life for our families. Political gridlock serves no one and irritates everyone. Most people are less interested in politics than the policies that affect them. The far left and the far right have pulled the center so far apart they can't meet in the middle. We need to find that middle ground to achieve the greater good for our children, our families, our communities, and our state. Thank you.
All right, and we'll stay with you, Mr. Slaten, for this next question. Please tell us why are you running, and tell us what leadership qualities do you feel you have that would benefit our district if elected.
Okay, thank you. I want to be responsive to the needs of our communities, not simply following someone else's agenda. I was very disappointed when our previous representative did not carry the Hastings Bridge bill forward. The representative from Cottage Grove had to do it. The old bridge was rated unsafe, and the new bridge has spurred riverfront development. Not only was the bridge important for Hastings, but it meets the transportation needs of Afton, Cottage Grove, Denmark Township, and Ninninger. I've spent the last 6 months knocking on doors to learn what matters most to the citizens of our communities. Last Sunday, I purchased my 4th set of shoes. One of the biggest concerns I heard was the lack of cooperation causing gridlock in Minnesota's government. I have experience serving on the Washington County Planning Commission, the Denmark Township Board of Supervisors, and currently serve on the Hastings Planning Commission. For 30 years, I worked as shop foreman at the Seneca Wastewater Treatment Plant in Eagan.
Please wrap it up, Mr. Slaten.
I chaired the Plant Safety Committee. I learned how to negotiate and find a compromise that works for everyone. As your representative, I will be a tireless advocate for our community. My background in leadership and my experience in this district will help me work across party lines to find compromise that supports the need of our communities.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jurgens. Your turn on this one. Please tell us, why are you running? And tell us, what leadership qualities do you feel you have that will benefit our district if elected?
First of all, this is the first office of at any level that I've ever run for. I'm not an experienced politician. What I've done for many years is volunteer in my communities. Currently in Cottage Grove, I'm on the Economic Development Authority. I chair the Public Services Commission. I'm on the Washington County Library Board. I'm on the Comprehensive Plan Steering Committee. And as I mentioned, here in Hastings, I'm on the Finance Council at St. Elizabeth Ann Seton Church, and I'm the Grand Knight of the local Hastings Knights of Columbus. Everything that I've done has always been to make the communities that I'm involved with stronger. I do it because I enjoy it. I do it because I like the diversity of the people that I'm working with and the diversity of the issues that we're dealing with. And I want to take that to the next level. I want to take that to St. Paul and represent you and the citizens of District 54B. I will represent the constituents, not my party, when I get to St. Paul.
Thank you. And now we're going to talk about the budget. And we're going to stay with you, Mr. Jurgens, on this one. When looking at the state budget, what items do you feel should receive less funding, if any? And on the flip side, what items do you feel should receive more funding, if any?
Well, first of all, I wouldn't have given raises to commissioners who were already in the job. Some of them received raises of over $30,000. And then I wouldn't turn around and give those same commissioners a severance package when they resign. But the bigger ticket item is MNsure. The state has spent about $400 million on MNsure. That's something that we need to take a look at. We're going to be talking about healthcare and healthcare issues a little bit more throughout the next couple of questions, so I don't need to go into a lot of details with that. But what we're doing now is basically the MNsure program is duplicating efforts at the national level with part of the ACA. As far as where we need to spend more money, if we hadn't spent that $400 million, maybe we could be putting that towards education. Maybe we could be putting that towards roads and bridges. And so we'll talk a little bit more about healthcare as we go.
Thank you. And Mr. Slaten, your turn on this one. Okay. When looking at the state budget, what items do you feel should receive less funding, if any? And on the flip side, what items do you feel should receive more funding, if any?
Okay. To help state finances, we need to increase our debt payments to save money on interest payments. As anyone with a credit card knows, it doesn't make sense to pay for something twice. We need dedicated funding for our roads, bridges, sewer, and water plants. Repairing our infrastructure will put people to work. They will then pay taxes and contribute to our local economy. We should continue to phase out subsidies for ethanol, which have caused a rapid rise in nitrates in our local drinking waters. Over the last 10 years, nitrate levels in our district have increased from 10 parts per million to 35 parts per million in areas of Cottage Grove, and over 40 parts per million in areas of Hastings. We need to continue to find ways to clean up the Jordan Aquifer and still support our family farms.
Thank you. And we'll stay with you, Mr. Slaten, on this next question on healthcare and addressing healthcare costs. There has been a rising concern for the rising cost of healthcare for both individuals and businesses. How do you propose the state legislature should address this concern for Minnesotans and Minnesota businesses?
Okay. Affordable health care is a must for Minnesota families. No family should be paying more than 10% of their income toward health insurance. Most plan premiums and deductibles are simply unaffordable. The rising cost of pharmaceuticals are unaffordable due to the volatility of the small market of those using MNsure. It does not serve the needs of our employers or our workers in its current form. We need to demand an audit of the insurance companies which do business within Minnesota. Costs for the same service can vary widely across the state and within different age groups. Without knowing what we are paying for, how can we know if we are making a good investment? The rising costs for prescriptions such as insulin and the EpiPen are scandalous. Without cost transparency, prices skyrocket within the few companies approved to make each drug. Even if we don't adopt a single-payer market like Canada, we deserve to know what we are paying for.
Please wrap it up,
I will
Mr.
fight
Slaten.
for transparency. I will fight to provide options that work for working families.
Thank you. And to you, Mr. Jurgens, there's been a rising concern for the rising cost of health care for both individuals and businesses. How do you propose the state legislature should address this concern for Minnesotans and Minnesota businesses?
There is a rising concern, and there should be. With the last 3 years, the rates for individual plans have gone up 20, 30, 40, sometimes almost 60% per year. Blue Cross Blue Shield recently exited the individual plan, the individual health insurance market, leaving 107,000 Minnesotans having to find health care coverage somewhere else. And some of the other companies that are in that market are putting caps on new business. So if you're one of the 107,000 Minnesotans that are affected and you don't get into one of the new plans before they hit their cap, you have less choice. You have fewer companies to choose from. We all know what happens when you have less choice and fewer choices, the price goes up. It's just a part of economics. What we need to do with is begin to, I'm almost out of time already. And that just, right now the Senate Democrats have asked the governor to call a special session. And so if they don't get started when I get into the legislature, that's going to be one of the very first things, the biggest topics that we need to address is the rising cost of health care.
Thank you. And we'll stay with you, Mr. Nelson, on this next one on public education. What is your assessment of the state of public education in Minnesota? What actions by the legislature, if any, do you feel would improve it?
Mr. Nelson or Mr. Jurgens? Do you want me to?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Jurgens. I'm sorry. I'm still, I guess, apparently on Ward
Tony,
3.
could you come up?
Yeah, apparently. Getting the Tonys mixed up here. I apologize.
Very
Mr.
good.
Jurgens.
Thank
There
you.
we
I
go.
appreciate that. Well, there's a lot of different avenues that you could take when you talk about public education. So let me just focus on one of the areas, and that is with Governor Dayton's plan to require all-day pre-K education. I've toured daycares here in Hastings. My daughter Tori works at daycare here in Hastings, and I've met with the superintendent of both 833 in Cottage Grove and Superintendent Collins here in Hastings, as well as the entire school board. And what they've all told me is that they don't want that to be mandatory, and I agree with them. People have the options right now to educate the pre-K by sending them to a daycare center. Some people have that covered through their, maybe have a grandparent at home or a parent that stays at home. I think that needs to be available to everybody, and we need to provide scholarships for those that need help to pay for it, but it should not be mandatory. I think that the locales in a lot of places like Robin's Nest here in Hastings can take care of that already and without having it be mandatory to the school districts.
Thank you, Mr. Jurgens. And back to you, Mr. Slaten. On public education, your turn on this one. What is your assessment of the state of public education in Minnesota? And what actions by the legislature, if any, do you feel would improve it?
We have good schools in Minnesota. However, in the past, the legislature held back education funding to make up for state deficits. Robbing Peter to pay Paul is never a good idea. School referendums were needed to make up the missing funds. This greatly increased property taxes. We need to give every child the best start we can. Some communities have a large mix of business and homes, and some have only a small mix. This causes unequal funding streams. The state could play a role in equalizing school revenues so all children can get a good start at a good school. How do we pay for it? Governor Plenty twice vetoed a health insurance bill which would have allowed districts to participate in statewide bidding for health insurance. This left districts to find insurance for themselves. Cooperating in these supergroups would decrease district expenditures and save education dollars. Education is a concern for everyone. Thriving schools are related to higher real estate values, higher median income, and greater life expectancies.
Please wrap it up, Mr.
I believe
Slaten.
we are duty-bound to provide a good education for the next generation. Education is how we guarantee our kids the best start and opportunities for the future.
Thank you. And we'll stay with you, Mr. Slaten, on this next one. If elected, what is your top item of legislation you plan to focus on and why?
Big question. There are so many issues that need to be addressed: healthcare, education, water quality, infrastructure. The House must work together, step by step, to address the issues affecting our life. For example, we know we have a problem in this area with chlorofluorocarbons and nitrates in the water. It is unconscionable that residents in part of our district need to use bottled water. Monday, I spoke to a Cottage Grove mother with 2 children under the age of 5. She said they use only bottled water because they do not trust that drinking water is safe. This concern has been echoed many times at many doors. Every resident deserves the security of knowing their water is safe. For our neighbors like this mom, we must do better job of getting the facts out there. Our city water is safe for those that don't yet have the security of city water. We must keep fighting for clean, safe drinking water. But just saying it is safe doesn't relieve the burden. This requires trust that can only be gained with openness. Whatever the issue, my priority will always be listening to you and giving you an honest answer.
Please
I will
wrap it
work
up, Mr.
hard
Nelson.
to get things done for our district through advocacy and compromise.
Thank you, Mr. Slaten. And now to you, Mr. Jurgens. If elected, what is your top item of legislation do you plan to focus on and why?
Mr. Slaten's right. There are a number of issues that we could talk about tonight. Transportation is one of them. We need to obviously take care of our infrastructure, roads and bridges. But the biggest issue, we've already talked about it, and that is the cost of health care. When MNsure was developed, it was done so without one Republican vote. It was all done, passed through the House and the Senate with all Democrats. The solution to the problem is going to be a bipartisan solution. We're going to need to work together on both sides of the aisle. I have experience doing that on the boards and commissions that I'm on. People don't know if I'm a Democrat or Republican until I went out to run for this office. And that's the kind of bipartisanship that it's going to take to solve a big problem like the cost of health care in the state of Minnesota.
All right. That brings us to the question the moment where you guys get to ask each other a question. And the first to ask their question will be Mr. Slaten to you, Mr. Jurgens. And for the audience, again, the parameters for this were, in a nutshell, basically nothing personal and something that could be understood by the general public. And these have been submitted in advance and have been vetted for, so we shouldn't have any surprises here tonight. And so with that said, now, Mr. Slaten, could you please ask your question to Mr. Jurgens?
Thank you. Mr. Jurgens, do you support the minimum prevailing wage policy? Why or why not?
Actually, I do. I do support the prevailing wage policy, and the biggest reason is I don't want state companies from out of state to come into Minnesota and bid on jobs and take the jobs away from Minnesotans. I have been endorsed by some of the trade unions, the carpenters, and the local 49ers, and part of the reason I believe that they gave me their endorsement was my views on prevailing wage.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. And your turn, Mr. Jurgens. You may now ask your question to Mr. Slaten.
And this one, I have to put my glasses on to read because we were told that it has to be the exact question that was approved. Mr. Slaten, I've had friends tell me that when you come to their door, you implied that since I don't live in Hastings, I'm not as qualified as you to represent Hastings or to be as familiar with Hastings issues. As you know, I'm active in C's Church here in Hastings. My kids attended school here and graduated from Hastings High School, and I'm involved with the Hastings Knights of Columbus. What specific experience in Cottage Grove do you have that qualifies you to represent that part of District 54B?
Thank you. I've been very active with the Cottage Grove City Council. I know all the members up there personally and have worked directly with them on many issues. Our district is not just Hastings, Cottage Grove. It is Denmark, Afton, and Ninninger. I've been on the town board of Denmark Township. I've worked hand in hand with just about every person who's ever been on the city council in Afton for the last 30 years. My wife was actually the city clerk of Afton. So that really helped to do that. So I know more than just Hastings. It's a district-wide thing that I have been working on. So I know every city that's out there.
All right, and that brings us to our closing statement, and we stay with you, Mr. Slaten, for the first to respond to this one. This is your final opportunity tonight to address the voters. In your response, please tell them why they should vote for you and provide any other information you wish.
Okay, thank you, Don. I want to thank Hastings Cable TV. I also want to thank those who are here tonight and those who are watching on TV. I'm sure you have many demands on your time. That you choose to spend it here shows you care about our community. Voting is the expression of our hopes for our future together. Voting is an act of trust between a voter and a candidate. I honor that trust and will work hard to live up to your hopes. If elected, I will be responsive to the concerns of our communities. I will make sure all of you know my telephone number and email so you can let me know what is happening in your corner of the district or voice your opinion. I will always give you an honest answer, not a party line. I will strive to find the compromises needed to get work done in the House, on time and on budget. I can work across the aisle because I believe most people, whatever their party affiliation, want the best for our state. We may have different ideas on how to get there, but talking and working together toward common goals is the only way to find common sense solutions to our problems.
Please wrap it up.
I ask for the opportunity to move Minnesota forward. I ask for your vote this November.
Thank you, Mr. Slaten. And Mr. Jurgens, your turn for this. Please address the voters tonight. In your response, please tell them why they should vote for you and provide any other information you wish.
Thank you. Again, I want to thank the Hastings Chamber of Commerce and the Hastings Community Television for hosting this event in this beautiful historic building. I want to thank those here tonight and those watching on TV and on the internet. And I want to thank Don for being here under difficult personal circumstances. I'm uniquely qualified to represent all of District 54B because of my strong ties to the two main population centers of Cottage Grove and Hastings. And also with my endorsements from the Pioneer Press yesterday, the Minnesota Chamber of Commerce, the National Federation of Independent Business, as well as some of the trade unions that I mentioned before, with the Carpenters Union and the Operating Engineers Local 49, and the endorsement by the Minnesota Farm Bureau. I work with others from all walks of life to produce results regardless of political party. I have friends and family on both sides of the aisle, so I'm accustomed to listening to different opinions when making decisions. When I'm in the legislature, I'll work for you, not my party. I'm Tony Jurgens, and I'd be proud to earn your vote on November 8th. Thank you.
Thank you both. Again, Mr. Jurgens and Mr. Slaten running for state representative to represent District 54 in the House of Representatives.
And one thing we would like to announce here, we do have a GOP tracker in the back tonight that neither of us have anything to do with. He's here to make me look bad.
Well, with that, let's keep the applause to you guys then. All right. We have one more race coming up here. We're going to meet and hear from the candidates running to represent District 54 in the state Senate. So we'll take another 5-minute break, and we'll have our final forum after that. Thank you.